This is my little boy Richard, and he has a very traditional little boy's haircut, which he likes. And as you can see, his hair is very long. And it's starting to grow down over his ears and get a little hard to brush in the morning before school. He can brush his hair almost completely by himself, and it makes it easier when it's just a little bit shorter. So I'll show you how to do this. Why don't you face that way, please? Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is to get it wet, get it brushed the way you like it to be brushed. Then we're going to make sure that we hold the hair out at a certain angle, all right? I always just use my hands. I don't use a comb when I cut hair, so that's just something that I do. But basically, you grab a piece of hair, a section, and you're going to hold it, okay? You don't want to cut it in a different direction. You want to make sure you get it going from the front slanted down to the back. So when you switch to the other side of the head, it might feel backwards. You might hold it a different way. Just make sure that the angle is going from the front to the back, okay? And then you just cut it however short you need. Don't go up to the top of the head yet. I'll show you that part in a minute. But basically, you want to make sure that you don't cut past the side of the temple, because then it's going to start sticking up real funny on the top. You want that to lay smooth, so you're going to cut that a different way. When you pick up a piece of hair, make sure that you're not cutting it past this point of the temple right here for now, all right? And don't hold your fingers straight, slant them down, okay? And I'm just going to trim off about an inch, maybe half an inch or so. All right, and then you just keep going. You get the next section, and you just keep going. I scoop with my fingers to collect the hair, and then I just grab it with my fingers. You just move your way around. When you pull the hair out through your fingers, if there's a section that you missed that's still too long, you will notice it will come through, and then you just cut it until it's all even. You can check, you just keep going around. If you can get it really close, pulled really tight, and cut really close to your fingers at this part behind the ears, it's going to get a little bit shorter right there, like they like it in this kind of a haircut. And then when you get here along the side of your head, you can hold it a little bit looser, and you can cut maybe just a little bit away from your fingers so that it's not quite so close. That way you'll ultimately have 3 different lengths, okay? So let's do a little cleaning up here right around the front of the face. You want it to be a little extra short as well. And then when you get to the ear, you just trim it. Be very careful not to cut your fingers. If you're not using a comb and you're holding the hair with your fingers, you do need to be careful not to cut your fingers. Especially when you get to the corner here by the palm of your hand. Just make sure you slow down right there. Yeah, I don't use clippers or anything. I just use my fingers for the whole haircut. I just feel like it's easier that way. For my home haircuts, that's just how I do it. There's less to clean up. And I like to be particular and just really kind of nitpick and make sure that I have control over what it looks like. That's just the way I like it. Why don't you turn your head this way just a little bit? You don't want to go too short right here. Give yourself about a half an inch to an inch down from the part where you cut. don't cut right here next to the part or it'll just stick straight out. So to help it lay smooth, you're going to make sure that your sections of hair don't start until about an inch down from the part. And then in order to blend it, you just grab that right there at an angle, and when you cut that at an angle, it'll actually help it to blend right there. You could use blending scissors, but you don't have to. If you collect the hair all around and you just keep going until you have all the hairs and you hold it at an angle, it should blend for you really nicely.
So one piece at a time like this.
Double check the sideburns. Okay, we're almost done. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I cut the top section of the hair. Just like a comb, I'm going to come in from the front of his forehead and comb my fingers through his hair so my fingers are touching his scalp, and then get a hold of the hair in between all of my fingers and just lift up. And this is what I cut right off the top. If you're wearing a wedding ring, watch out, don't cut your wedding ring. Alright, and then that will give you a nice feathered effect, but it won't stick out right there. Okay, and you can do that on this top section and again on this crown section. So just come in through, turn, okay, kind of loosen your fingers and pull up. There we go, and make sure it's the same length as what you already cut. Okay, so what about cutting the bangs? Bring it down. Leave it alone. Okay. Make sure you don't cut shorter than this part right here on the side by the temple. And for now, we're going to just cut it straight across. Close your eyes. Okay, so that gets off the majority of the length. And then you don't want it to stay like that, so you make sure that you come in here at the front with your fingers, and again, double check that and make sure that it's got some layering going on here. You can even do a little bit of point cutting to help blend that. There we go. And that looks great. Nice and feathered there. Okay, so the only other tricky part that we need to worry about is making sure that we get the back right so he doesn't look like alfalfa. Let me just touch this up real quick. Okay, so go ahead and turn around for me, please. Okay, Neil. Alright, so on this back section right here, if you're not sure of what to do, you could consider getting some thinning shears, and I will show you those right now. They look like this. They kind of look like little alligator teeth. Okay? And when you cut, it only cuts a few of the hairs at a time. It doesn't make a blunt cut. So I can put this right in here at this part that's sticking up. Go ahead and turn your head sideways. You just grab this hair right here and you pull it up at an angle like that, and then you just give it a snip. And you can see it didn't cut off all the hair. Okay? It just cut a few of those hairs, and that helps it to blend. Okay? Okay, one more. So this part right here is really thick on him, and it tends to look like a big chunk. It's hard to blend it, so I'm just going to give it a couple little snips with my thinning shears, and then you can see that it lays down right there really nice with lots of little feathers. Okay, give it a good look. Let's see. Just one or two little hairs here that I want to work on. There we go. I think that looks great. There, that's going to lay really nice. All right, let's have you give them a good close-up look, please. Okay. Okay, just hold still there. Go ahead and turn. Okay, you can see it's nice and feathered here. Looks nice and feathered here. Okay. And I was able to do that with just my fingers, without a comb, without a razor. That was not hard. I just went around and I just kept that same pattern. Okay, turn all the way around. Want to sit up there? That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see all the little feathers here, how nice and even that looks. It's shorter at the neck. It's a little medium here and a little longer on top, which is a great look. And nice and feathered right here. Okay. All right, good luck, guys. Give that a go.